Good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, there's no one set to speak for citizens forum, so we'll move into the agenda. First up is the consent agenda. Hearing no objections, I move to adopt the consent agenda by unanimous consent. Allie, superintendent update.
Okay, well, it's a busy time of year. We're getting ready. I had kind of given a few things in my email to you, just what we're doing and prepping for 3,900 plus kids to come back in a little over a week and a half, so we're very excited about that. This week we worked with our new teachers yesterday and today, and then tomorrow they will be on their own working at their buildings for the day. Finishing up our back to school celebrations. That's always an exciting day on that first day when we welcome everyone back to release some of the videos and things that we've been doing. So Jenny and I got to go and watch student performance yesterday, practice at the high school, and just our littles kind of, we have the elementary and middle school and some, not high school in the group together, but elementary and middle school working together. And I think that performance is going to be great because it was cold. I mean, it was the first time they'd ever done anything yesterday, as of yesterday. And we were there, about 45 minutes in, and we were already surprised at how good it sounded. So I'm excited to hear how that all pulls together. And then we've just been doing a lot of professional learning with staff. We held our 3D vision days. That was a week and a half or so ago. And that went really well. That was a day and a half of time being spent together, and we'll be giving that update at our next, I think in September, right? We're also getting ready to do the ribbon cuttings at both of the new project completions at Hillcrest and Sunnyside. And as you were out there tonight, most of you got to take a look at those sites and see all the projects that have happened there. It looks really, really great. I think Sunnyside is just about turnkey. I would say that Hillcrest has a few things left that we need to tweak and work on, but definitely, I mean, both of those schools were basically in construction zones with kids in them for a year and a half, so there's nothing of any concern having staff and students back in. So really excited, and the buildings look wonderful. And then we are also just getting ready right now to talking about setting up a date for that future planning of the district. So that'll be taking place on October 2nd, but more information will come out, and that'll be something we'll share more information with you and the public as we move forward with that. So I wanted to just let the board members have some time tonight to recap your retreat, and we also had a couple board members attend with us to the PLC Institute in Madison. So we can start with the retreat updates, and then we'll go from there. We'll move into the PLC Institute update.
Anyone want to start on the retreat?
I thought Allison gave us a timeline for the upcoming referendum or potential referendum. I thought that was helpful. And then we went around the board and basically gave why you're on the board, and everybody basically said the same thing: support staff and support this administration, which I also agree with that. So that was the main. It was a fairly short retreat. So.
And as part of the retreat, we talked about ways that we as a board can support our district, and so we've tried to brainstorm on things that we are going to work on for the upcoming year in terms of communication. It may be a different look at some of the board meetings for workshops, maybe bringing those into the schools, perhaps different hours during the day, so we can see and bring families in to see what's going on, and we can witness it firsthand. So hopefully we can implement some of those things going forward. All right. And we also made a commitment to the PLC process, so that's a good segue for the two of you who participated in that.
Yeah, so we spent Sunday evening to Wednesday with the high school leadership team, middle school leadership team, and some of their teaching teams, and some administrators. It was great. It was great to spend that time with them, to learn the PLC process, learn why we're doing it, see those teams collaborate with each other, and just a shout out to the teams that were there in the middle of their summer unpaid. Speaks volumes to the commitment of our teaching staff in the district, and how much they care. They shared a lot about how much they appreciate the continued ed that Pulaski offers. That was a big takeaway that they wanted to share with the board. That's a big reason why they're here. They appreciate the work that's being done in the district, in their teams, in their buildings, and with the district as a whole. So I'm excited for the board to learn more about PLC and why the teams are doing what they're doing and how they're doing it. So it'll be nice to get into the buildings and see some of these meetings we learned about happen. So thank you for having us. It was awesome.
It was pretty incredible. I thought I knew as a board member what went into PLCs and really had no clue until I attended this institute. So it really was eye-opening and amazing just what we are putting into our curriculum, what we're having our teachers teach, how we're having everything be consistent across the board, especially with 5 elementary schools. I mean, that is not an easy feat. So it's just incredible to see what our leaders are doing to help push that collaboration, and see our teachers doing it, and actually putting the what they're recommending into play, and how they're doing that work, and how it's by each student. This isn't just it's really individualized, and we're caring for every student one by one. All means all, just all of that, and that really was eye-opening and really great to see. So yeah, thanks for having us, and it was really a great time.
And then last thing, just to piggyback off of that, when we did our sale work as a leadership team, and then it's always nice when it's kind of sandwiched in some, either the PLC Institute or some other kind of professional development. Then we get to work through our 3D days with our guiding coalitions and some of our other teaching staff, and that were invited to that on that day, that day and a half. It was just nice to be able to share those district goals and move through that process again, and know that we really can see the work already. And that day and a half went very smoothly this year. Last year it was a new process because we had patterned it after sale. But just from the superintendent lens, it was awesome. And just a shout out for my building leaders and that whole teaching and learning team, to just be able to see all of us standing up and sharing and doing the learning alongside the staff. I think that's really important. They understand that we're grounded in the work as well. So I also appreciate you going, because you're now going to be grounded in the work, just like we are, and that's very helpful. So appreciate that. Let's see, I don't really have any other updates, just as reminders. Monday is our welcome back day, so can I just kind of visually see who's planning on coming? Okay, right. I know you said it's fair week, you're working for it, okay. Right, just so we kind of know, and Dana, so post for sure. It always helps us just so we are. And again, you're welcome to come. I mean, it's nice for you as board members to be able to visit with everyone. So we start, the food trucks will be here before 11. We are going to be feeding the large amount of student performers before teaching staff this year. So the kids are gonna start to eat at about 10:45 or 10:50. And then actual staff comes at 11. So that's from 11 to 1. And then at 1 o'clock, we kind of start to get people motivated to get into the auditorium. We will have the drum, the drums will bring us in again, and then at 1:30 we'll start in the auditorium. So that should go until about 3 or 3:15. Okay, just so you kind of know the lay of the land for that afternoon. What's happening? Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, all right.
Thank you. Next up, advanced placement data update.
Hi.
Hi.
I am Laura Lopersberger. I'm the AP coordinator at PHS. I'm also an English teacher. there as well. And this the upcoming year will be my third year as AP coordinator, so I've done it twice so far. So this report is for the results from spring. So you have some of the charts in front of you here, but just as kind of an overall, this is looking at 149 students and this is just based on testing. We had 161 students in AP classes, but 149 who decided to take the exam at the end. 19 different exams, which is pretty high. There were several students who took like independent classes and online classes and then took an AP exam. So I had a couple of those this year where it was just 1 or 2 or 3 students, which is kind of cool seeing students, get those credits in high school for college. And those took place in May. So the first chart that we're looking at here, the first set of data shows the total number of exams here, 202 exams. Many students take more than one test, so that's why you're seeing 202 there. Several kids taking 2, 3, a couple taking 4 tests, so definitely got some pretty motivated students to get some of these credits. And you can see a breakdown there of scores. A score of 3, 4, or 5 typically gets college credit. So you see that's actually the majority of our numbers there. Not very many students are getting a 1 or 2. So you can just see our highest there are 3 and 4, and 20 getting 5. So that's pretty awesome. Overall, 89% of test takers got a 3 or better. So looking at that percentage, which if you look at the next graph here, it shows up a little bit from last year. So the next graph shows the last 5-year span of number of students who get that college credit at 3 or better. So we've been steadily rising here, so that's pretty awesome. The next chart here shows some of the numbers over the last 5 years here in terms of enrollments. Now again, looking at the total AP students, those are just kids who signed up for the exam. So kids who took the class and didn't take the exam wouldn't be counted in those numbers there. And total number of exams, looking at the total number of 3+ scores, and then the percentage broken down just in a different format here with maybe a little bit more explanation of numbers here. The next chart has a breakdown of each AP class or test. Some of these we don't offer as classes, but like I said, they signed up for the test and took the test and did very well. So you can kind of see some of those breakdowns. The same couple of teachers actually from last year had 100% of students get 3 or better. Aaron Sperduto with AP Art and Design, Jeff Gussie with AP Chem, and Derek Zahn with AP Environmental Science all had 100% of students get that college credit. So that's pretty awesome. And several others were in the 90%. So I just kind of wanted to mention those couple. The last chart there, the scholar roster shows awards that students can get. There are AP Scholar Awards, and the levels are AP Scholar with honors, and AP Scholar of Distinction, and they have different, and this is like cumulative through their career here, so throughout their 4 years. That kind of adds up, and they have to take a certain number of exams and reach that 3 or better. And we had 40 kids with AP Scholars this year, 20 AP Scholars, 10 with honors, and 10 with distinction. I think we only had 1 last year with distinction, so that's a pretty big jump. Lots of kids taking multiple tests this year and earning that Scholar with Distinction award. So, any questions for me on any of this information?
I have one. I mean, these are great results. Was there a significant change, though, to your knowledge? So between the 21, 22, and 23 to 24 and 25, that we saw that big jump in success of 3+?
So I have only been the coordinator for the last 2 years, so I don't really know even in terms of what was going on with the classes or why kids took or didn't take the exams. I don't have a ton of that. Just in speaking with the past AP coordinator, he kind of felt there was kind of a fallout from COVID still of students who weren't really confident in taking those AP classes. They just kind of wanted to like sign up for the basics and were kind of maybe nervous to push themselves a bit more, but kids are kind of getting on that bubble a little bit more as those years went on.
All right, thank you.
So that was just kind of a theory, but
I would say,
No, go ahead, John.
I would say the one thing I could say is absolutely kudos to you because that is an impressive jump in those numbers. And I mean, obviously,
I
nobody
don't want to
wants
take the
to.
credit.
No one wants to take the credit, but
I just ordered tests.
you get to bring the
But
data.
yeah, I do
you
think
get
those
you get the
teachers
first
are doing an
but-
awesome job.
But I mean that's impressive, and that's something that everybody should be very, very proud of because, I mean, to have a 20-point jump that's success, and that's the kind of stuff that a school district can really show as a pride item.
I'm glad to be a part of that. A couple of other things I wanted to just kind of mention. Last year when I presented, I mentioned that there was a move to digital this past year. So this past spring was the first year that we tested digitally. A little scary at first, but we got it figured out. We ended up testing at the barn in town here, the barn at Sunset Acres. And it went really smoothly. The owners were very helpful and accommodating and gracious with letting us test there. I thought it was a very calm environment for students. I got good feedback from them about how that went. Very minimal digital issues. One big one, but that was on College Board, not us. That was nationwide, and we made it through. So that went really well. And then a couple other notes I had. The math department is considering adding another one, adding AP pre-calculus. So they'll probably be making a decision here soon if they want it for next year. They'll submit that for like the new course in September. Otherwise, they'd be looking at the year after. And then College Board will be offering AP Anatomy and Physiology, which might be something that we look into offering too. I'll be talking with the science department and see how they feel about that. So a couple new classes that we may or may not be offering.
For the upcoming year, I know it's early, but do you have a sense of the numbers of students taking AP classes?
I don't yet since we haven't started, and usually on the first day is when I create all those sections and then I kind of get an idea of numbers. So I don't have anything very concrete besides like enrollment in those classes. I mean, I could look up their rosters, but otherwise in terms of like who would sign up for a test and stuff. And there's a lot of ad drops in those first couple of days, so.
In terms of those tests that you offer for classes we don't offer, has there been an impediment to students? Has there been any issue, or is it pretty smooth to offer those tests?
We generally go by the rule that if they're taking an online class, they're taking like an actual class, we will always offer that exam. If someone's not in a class and we already offer it, we're already paying for a proctor, we're already got space, someone can just say, hey, I'd like to try my hand at that. If they want to pay the money for the test, they can take the test, and even if they're not in the class. The one maybe area that where we have to turn people away is if they want to take a class, they're not enrolled in anything. They just I'd want to try my hand at it. They're not taking any formal class, but we don't already offer it. We don't set up a test for that because it's one we wouldn't already be setting up. We wouldn't already be paying that proctor or renting that space or anything like that. So, in terms of students, why they decline, I try to always check with every individual student, and if students are declining, trying to get a feel for if it is based on cost. I haven't gotten that in the last 2 years. At least that they would admit, like, I don't have the money for this, because we would, I would try to find a way to make that happen. A lot of those, like that difference in the number between students in the class and students actually taking the exam, a good chunk of those are kids who drop during the school year. They drop the class, and so then they opt not to take the exam. A handful don't sign up at the beginning, but usually they just say they don't want to, or they're not confident in their skills or something like that.
What's the average cost for these tests?
They are $99 per test. Kids on free and reduced lunch do not pay anything though. It is $0 for those students.
Thank you. Any other questions for Laura?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next up is the 24-25 annual seclusion and restraint report.
Yeah, so each year we bring this report to you. It's a requirement by law by October 1st. We need to provide you with the data, the information related to the students
who have been either secluded or restrained. In the memo, there's some detail related to our processes and procedures that we're required to follow. There's also the link, and that link brings you to the FAQs that actually are really good this year. They've expanded the understanding of what seclusion is, what restraint is, what is appropriate, what's not appropriate, what's required for training and reporting, etc. So I'm going to send it over to Lara now to talk a little bit more about the data as well as what the district's doing to help in this area.
So as you can see in the data, it kind of has fluctuated a little bit. I think after COVID, there were some increases across the board, and as I looked at other school districts too, there were some increases, so it was consistent. This past year, it did decline quite significantly, so we're proud of that. We have to celebrate that, but that is truly due to the fact of all the work that we're doing as a district to implement we had behavior solutions last summer, so universal systems in place. We've had now Purposeful People, our elementary social emotional learning curriculum that kids are getting universal messaging and practicing strategies and techniques and skills to continue to regulate and practice co-regulation with their teachers. I think there is some system-wide processes that SAIL really helped us with last summer that us as a learning leader team really worked to clarify and develop techniques with our teachers and supports with our teachers to make sure that our students were being supported, whatever that meant. So if that meant we were bringing a child to a school-wide intervention team meeting because we needed some other strategies or supports, we're bringing them there. Or if we just need our teacher teams to collaborate and come up with some of those strategies for those individual students, they have the time in their schedule to be able to meet and talk about what behavior strategies they can utilize with kids. Another thing too, I think, like Julie mentioned, that FAQ is super helpful. We always have our CPI training, and we're always looking at how we can revamp that and how we can make sure that those de-escalation techniques are first and foremost. That's what's most important. Everything before we get to that seclusion or restraint, those are always last resorts. So in that FAQ, I encourage you to take a peek at it because it is super helpful and very laid out, very black and white, and very clear. So that is something, because it, like I had put in there, was just updated early August. We will share that out with our staff and review that with our staff. So again, trying to always think of what else can we do to support the needs of all of our students. Any questions about the report? Or
Do we find most of the situations in the lower grades, or is it kind of a mix?
That's a great question. I would say, so one thing that I as part of the state reporting in December-ish, we have to report out by building and by frequency and number of students, similar to this, but it's a lot more detailed. And sometimes those cell sizes, they'll just be are so small that we can't share them publicly like this. So generally speaking, I would say we have most at the lower levels, fewer at the high school level. And when you think about high school students and the size of them, they might be a little bit, you might be calling for other supports with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
I just want to say, like, I think we're obviously heading in the right direction with behavioral solutions and our goal, having a behavior goal and having it consistent in the, no matter what building you're in, that there's a consistent, process when behaviors start to escalate, or, and that everyone is aware of those de-escalation tactics. So I think you guys are doing a great job, because it's a huge difference even from 23-24 to last year. I mean, that's a big decrease. So, great work.
Any other questions? Thank you. Next up is the 25-26 Annual Indian Policies and Procedures.
Yep, another one that we bring to you every year, and this is really focusing on our work that we have with our Title VI grant, and we do activities that are scheduled for the fall and the spring with families. I'll kick back to Lara again to talk a little bit more detail about that as well.
So anytime, obviously it says in the memo, we have a school district that resides on Native property. We have to bring this to you, show that we're collaborating with our tribes that we work with. We always have a fall family engagement night as well as a spring family engagement night, which I had linked the slides from that. This year we had some native dancers come in. We always ask for feedback from our families. What do you want to see? What do you want to hear? We've also had native food to just celebrate those traditions and those pieces with our families. We always try to also incorporate feedback from our families on our goals for the grant, because this is a grant funded, we have some grant funded positions with that Native American advocate. And with that, our 3 goals are increased school readiness, increased academic achievement, and increased knowledge of cultural identity and awareness. And it's a really great opportunity for our families to say, what do we want the school district to do for our children? And how do we want to continue to take pride in our heritage and our roots, and how to not let some of those things go by the wayside and spread the knowledge for all students. It's pride, it's wanting to know that they are being heard and valued. It's one of those things that you can celebrate in those activities and those food, but it's also when you talk to the kids, they're super proud of it too, and you want to be able to have them have that confidence to be able to share that, because sometimes that's hard. And so getting that confidence and instilling those strategies in the kids too, to share about their native culture is also an awesome opportunity at our family engagement nights as well.
Any questions on that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the personnel report.
So our new hires have actually been with us this week already at new teacher training, so they're very excited to get started with us. We have Kimberly Coles for biology, Kristen Lefebvre for 4K teacher at Illinois, Hannah Mulder for the physical therapist. She's actually starting with us in September, and then Cassie Nygrink for teacher at Sunnyside for kindergarten. And then resignations, we have Sarah Simon for occupational therapy and Alicia Machad.
Just a quick question. So Alicia has that effective date of June 2nd. Why are we just seeing this one now?
She resigned after the contracts were due, so it was within the past month that we received that.
Understood. Thank you.
How are we doing on staffing right now?
Overall, pretty good. We have Alicia's position that we're still trying to hire for. Not very many art teachers looking to move jobs, so that one we're really trying to get filled. I know occupational therapy, it's very last minute. That one was open, so that one's gonna be a hard one for us to fill as well. And then part-time jobs, paraprofessionals, it's always hard to fill those just because we do pay a little bit less than like Green Bay, and we can't touch those pay rates.
So what do we do with those, like occupational therapists or an art teacher in 2 weeks when we bring kids back in the buildings?
Great question. So occupational therapy, obviously it's a special education related service that we must provide those services. We are actually working with CSA right now and have a great collaboration with Lisa Misko and the team over there, and it looks like we're going to be able to work collaboratively with them to be able to fill the needs that we have for OT. And then for the paraprofessionals, also a required service for some students. We may need to utilize some other options within our staffing, as well as bring in subs to be able to help until we can get those positions filled. So we are like in a full query if anybody knows anybody who's interested in working in special education as a paraprofessional. We have a couple of positions open right now. We would love to see some applicants come through. Specifically at Hillcrest, we have 2 short right now. So if anybody knows anybody that would be interested in this field, we provide that in-house training and support and service, assistance. So we'd love to see some more applicants.
We also have non-special ed paraprofessional roles open as well.
And then what do we do with an art teacher for 2 schools? What's the plan there?
We have substitute teachers, so really utilizing them while we are trying to get it filled. Generally for art, we'll try to have the same teacher fill as much as they can, just because it's how many different grades. They're gonna have to switch projects and try to make sure that it's the same person, but doing everything we can right now to hire everywhere we can, so.
Was she, and I don't know if you can answer this, but was she in that split role all 11 years, or her job?
I don't know that.
How long was she in the split role?
I would think every year she was in a split role, because I know she started high school and was at an elementary and a high school, and
So it
then,
wasn't something new then?
yeah, and then it's been Hillcrest and Fairview from years too, so.
Okay.
I don't think she's ever been at one building.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there a motion on the personnel report?
Make a motion to approve the personnel report.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second to approve the personnel report as presented. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Mark, moving on to the 25-26 budget.
Yeah, so the board received a couple documents, a memo, as well as our current revenue limit worksheet, a potential levy comparison, and then this budget publication format. So this is the budget that goes into the paper and is available for public inspection. So it's very black and white. I don't get to choose the format. We will start working on our annual meeting booklet where we make it a little more user-friendly, but that format will go in, this format will go in the P-News and the Press Gazette. But it does come for approval, just so everybody knows what the public will be seeing. We have statutory regulations of when we publish it prior to the annual meeting so that it's out and available. Again, this will not be the final budget. Property values are estimated at this time. Student count's not completed. So there's all those moving pieces still throughout, but this is really a formal approval so that you know what the public will be viewing. So just a review of kind of our time frame. You know, we started back in March with estimates and had some approvals throughout the way. The board had a formal, preliminary budget approved in June so that we could operate in July. Then shortly after the state budget came out, that kind of solidified a lot of our funding and what we knew. Today, what's coming to the board is this publication. After that, it goes out to the papers, as I said, and then the next time you'll see the budget is at the annual meeting where actually the taxpayers and residents will have an advisory vote on the budget and the tax levy. That then sits until October when this board would approve a final original budget and then adopt a tax levy. So as part of this budget, you'll see the three columns. One is 3 years ago where it's finalized numbers. Also shared in this is 24-25. They are not in final until our auditors say they are. To me, they're as close as they're going to be. There shouldn't be any major changes to what's published for 24-25. So just to recap, we had that approved budget with that $436,000 deficit last year. Final actuals came in at $129,000. So $300,000 favorable from budget. And we usually like to say, we aim to be in that 1%. So it's 0.5% of our expenditure budget that we are favorable. Here's just that format that I talked about. So a couple things to highlight on the general budget. And again, I'll throw a lot of numbers at you. Again, they'll keep changing. So glad to announce that balanced budget. As you can see, revenue and expenditures both at that $56.7 million number on the right. Keeps our fund balance at that $10.5 million. That's about 18.5% of expenditures where we like to be at. So that's good to report that. How do we get there? That revenue limit worksheet, again, complicated formula. It comes to $50 million of our funding. 3% increase there that was set by the state. We have an initial state aid estimate that's not in final, but a 2.4% increase there. So again, how revenue limit works, $50 million gets offset by general state aid of that 34 and the local, then the rest gets passed on to the local tax levy. Again, from the biannual budget, the increase that we receive is mostly in special education state aid. We have a lot to work through in that of how that's going to impact and flow through. It actually results in a reduction in expenditures because of the transfer from general fund to special ed. Again, our two main drivers in our expenses, the board approved a district-wide wage increase of 3%. And then we have this self-insurance piece. It was approved at 6%. As of today, I'm already estimating that was high. We came in lower as a year from last year, and already with 2 months of data, we're below where we were expected to be. So that's estimated at 4.5% right now. Initial property values came out just yesterday. I received them. So again, the district sits on property values of $3.2 billion. So that's a 3.6 increase from the prior year. Statewide saw an 8% increase. So I can't speak to statewide why it was 8%. I don't know if that's all inflationary or new construction across the state. But we do have an estimate for our district, which is, of that, it's about $100 million. 55% was new construction. So, it depends what your personal opinion is on new construction, but when it comes to a levy, that's a good amount because that is, that potential increase in tax levy isn't just divided among current property owners, right? So we like to see that. We like to see that for a number count. Resulting tax levy, so mill rate is going to remain flat at 6.94. Again, that's about $7 per $1,000 of equalized value, and the resulting tax levy is at 22.4 million. So a lot of numbers in there, but that kind of ties to this general budget that'll be published. Also to be published, will be our other funds. So your special ed budget, your debt service, your capital projects, and then food service community package and co-op is no budget. Again, that's for travel to WIA state events, but it still has to be published out there that it doesn't exist yet. Couple of highlights there. Debt levy remaining flat, sees a small decrease of just under 1%. We were able to reestablish our capital projects fund. That is for our capital projects plan that we want to nice new buildings in certain areas, but we want to keep up with our 10-year maintenance plan and whatnot. So that was removed previously and was able to be added back in. At the end of the year, we may see an additional transfer to that capital improvement plan, small budget there. And then what you'll see in capital expenditures is the $10 million of referendum projects left. Most of those have been completed, but the budget goes back to July 1st. So we do have pretty well finalized numbers for referendum. That fund balance for capital projects is just over 11 million. So at the next time when we report out on projects, you'll see where we kind of netted out with favorability. But we've been around about that $1 million number since bids came in and were finalized. Food service balance budget is similar to prior years, nothing too new there. And then community fund sitting at that, sorry, I missed that 1.4 million there in revenue and expenditures. And then you'll see in the tax levy on that sheet that community fund sees a slight increase in tax levy as that fund balance has kind of been planned to spend down. That's all the information I have. So looking for approval on that budget document. And then this is just the notice that Heidi will have her name in the paper saying when our meeting will be and where the budget's available for public inspection.
Any questions for Mark on the 25-26 budget? And you need approval for a publication of this?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the 25-26 budget as presented.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the 25-26 budget as presented. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Mark. Anything else with regard to?
No, really that covers the update for, so now the Skyward budget that everyone receives ties exactly to what's being published. Again, it will be updated. We'll share those updates at the annual meeting or the October meeting as changes need to be made, but nothing else to report.
Great. Any other questions for Mark? No? The last thing on the agenda is the second Citizens Forum. This past year we've been operating with a Citizens Forum at the beginning of the meeting and one at the end of the meeting. And just there's been a request to talk about whether that is a continued format that we'd like to work with in the upcoming year. Are there any thoughts or discussion on that?
I could go either way. I don't know. Sometimes I think there's something to be said after the meeting, and there's an opportunity for it, but I could be talked out of it. I'm not really. It hasn't been used for a long time.
It hasn't. I mean, there's three really options. We could do a Citizens Forum at the beginning only. We could do beginning and end, or we could do just at the end so that citizens would have an opportunity to hear things in the meeting, because we can't act on it, we can hear them out and consider whether it needs to be an agenda item or an additional discussion point in a future meeting. So those really could be the three options of how we proceed.
I feel like having both, they're getting 2 opportunities. What is it, 4 minutes now that we allow? 4 minutes each. And if we have a full room, are we really want to spend the time to have 8 minutes each person? Ultimately, they could be given that, or do we just choose beginning or end and just leave it at the 4 minutes?
I mean, policy says that we can shut it down at any point in time if there's too big a crowd, but based on the 3 options, my thoughts would be move it to the end of the meeting and have 1. That way the audience has an opportunity to hear the board meeting. If there's something interesting, they can bring it forward. And because we can't act on it, then whether it's beginning or end, it doesn't matter. So at the end, I think would be appropriate if we try it out. If we don't like it, we come back to the table again.
Any objection to trying the citizens forum at the end of the meeting, seeing how it goes, and if we want to revisit, we can revisit?
The only thing about the end is quite often it's not meeting related, and then they're waiting till the end of the meeting for their comments that may not be related to the meeting at all. But we could try it. I mean, I think we can always adjust that too. We can always make an exception, let them speak at the start, so they don't wait for an hour to talk about something unrelated to the meeting. But yeah, I'm fine either way.
The other thing too is having it at the end. We know what it's like when emotions and feelings get going quite a bit. If we have it at the beginning, then for the second citizens forum, if it would come in a form of email or something, it may be less emotional. Is that the right word to say?
We do have the, on our website where anybody can email the whole board.
Correct.
At any time, so that's always gonna be there. Yeah, I don't care if it's the beginning or the end, so whatever someone feels a certain way, it doesn't bother me.
I mean, I guess how many times has having 2 been a problem? Or I should have, problem is probably the wrong word to use.
I think the spirit of the citizens forum has gone away at times where maybe somebody utilizes 8 minutes on the same topic, right? They talk in the beginning and the end, and maybe that's not what the spirit of citizens forum is about. In those instances, we don't cut people off. So if somebody is looking to speak, we're going to give them their time to speak. So in that sense, I don't think the citizen forum should be used for that purpose.
Right. The only caution I would have is how many times has that been done, and is it enough times to change it, right? You got to be great to ask the citizens what they want, just out of curiosity, I can imagine. And I do respect the beginning of the meeting comments and having people wait around. I mean, that makes me give a little pause to taking it away. Especially, I can only think of a couple instances where it's maybe been used in a fashion that wasn't intended, but it's there and it's ultimately their right. Right? So we have 8 minutes of something and we move on. I don't know.
How about we make it 5 minutes max, start it at the beginning of the meeting.
So cumulative first and second, you can only have 5 minutes?
Say that again, folks.
So the same person can only talk 5 minutes total, beginning and end?
We would
saying
one
make it at the
citizens
beginning,
forum
at the beginning.
Eliminate the after one.
Just make it 5 minutes.
But we can table it and
He's
readjust
gritting
it.
his teeth over there.
I don't know. Again, it depends what the topic is, right?
I'm open to keeping it the way it is too.
In the end, people in the community have access to us anytime,
That's it.
right? Via email, via phone call, they can go to the district office, they can come to meetings. So what's appropriate for the meeting is, I think, what we have to focus on. And I think allowing one, at a minimum, speaking at the beginning is what we're obligated to do for the community. And if there's something in the meeting, they can always talk to us after the meeting.
Here we are.
Right, we're here. So I guess I'm going to change everything I've said. I'm back to going back to the beginning, and we
motion, I'll second it.
get rid of the second one.
I don't think we need a motion. We can just come to a consensus on this. And
It's not in policy, so it's just our agreement here.
But I guess
I
that's
would be okay with, for me, to eliminate the second citizens forum right now.
But let's clarify. So keep it at 4 minutes though, not 5, right?
Right, we'd have to change the policy if we change the time, because I think it says
Oh,
it right
that
in
is
the.
4 minutes?
That is,
That's-
yeah.
That's fine, that's a long time.
And if someone needs an extra minute, then they can ask us, and most likely we'll all say, that's fine.
I like it.
Okay, is everybody fine with trying? We'll do a beginning of the meeting citizens forum at 4 minutes, and we'll see how it goes. And if there are any issues, we can revisit this. All right.
Fantastic.
With that said, we do have our second citizens forum for this meeting.
Why are you looking at me?
Looking at
The citizens.
Are there any citizens that wish to
Final,
speak
final.
up?
There we
I was
go.
fine with it.
Hi, Corey,
I might
say
as
your name and your
well take
address.
advantage of it. Corey Julick, 612 Cobblestone Circle. With this though, as a community member, if I email the board, I expect responses. It's the same board
Always.
members that respond when I email.
Yep.
So if you're gonna eliminate one, make sure you respond when the community reaches out to you. Just don't ignore our email, because at that point, I feel you don't care. You just ignore what I said, so. If you do one, that's fine. I mean, as a community member, I should come and be respectful, say what I feel. You know, I'm not in schools every day, but we hear things from our children, so I know you guys can't act on it, but if I take the time to come to the meeting and speak, or I send an email, you know, I expect a response. I understand this is, you guys got your own full-time jobs and everything just as I do, but a simple response goes a long way. So, thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Corey.
Anyone else? All right. Our next meeting is a workshop meeting on September 3rd, the second day of school. It is going to be at Sunnyside Elementary after the ribbon cutting ceremony. So we're going to be starting the meeting at 6:30, a half an hour later than normal. On the current agenda is the 3D vision time overview, the 24-25 district and building goal results, and the 24 PCSD report card feature ready. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. And all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.